This will be an introduction video for creating HTML files for designing and creating your own web pages. So let's get started with the tools that we're going to need for this. The first tool is to create and write the web page is an editor, and the one that comes with Windows is Notepad. So go to All Programs, Accessories, Notepad, and then if you want you can pin that to the taskbar at the bottom. And I'm going to drag this over to the left-hand side and dock it over there so that it stays on its half of the screen. And the other tool that we're going to need is a web browser. My recommendation is for Google Chrome. Internet Explorer does weird things when it is rendering HTML, and Google Chrome is a little bit more standard. So let's go over there, and that way we can take a look at the web pages that we are creating. So let's start off with the basics of an HTML page. And this is what you type into Notepad or whatever text editor you're going to use. And we start off an HTML web page with the first tag, which is doc type. And I'll talk about tags and what they mean later on, but this is a signal to the web browser that the type of document that we're creating is an HTML document. And close that tag. And now we're going to put in HTML, which is a signal to the web browser that what we're creating is just basic HTML code. And then /HTML to indicate that that's the end of the HTML code. And I'm going to put something in the middle here just to have something to look at. And traditionally this is what we start with when working with a new programming language like HTML or whatever, is hello world. So there's my basic web page. I'm going to save it now. There's one very important thing when you go to save, and I'm going to create a folder. Oh, I already have a folder called HTML. And I'm going to create a folder, and got one there already. I'm going to call this hello.html. The ending .html on a web page file is critical. You must have that. So I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go over to the Chrome web browser. Keyboard shortcut for opening a file is Control-O. And then I'm going to select from the HTML folder that one that I just created. It says hello.html. And there it is. First web page. Simplest kind of web page in the world. One important thing to watch out for if you go to open up a file in Notepad that you've already made, and so I'm going to close it and open it back up again. Is when I open Notepad, it gives me an empty note, so an empty file. So I need to open, and I'm going to go to my HTML folder, which is where I am, but oh, horror, there's no file there that I worked so hard on before. So I'm not going to be able to open it and edit it because it's disappeared. But it hasn't disappeared. What I need to do is change the filter down here. Right now, it's set so that Notepad will only show us files that end with .txt, text documents. What we want to do is we want to look at all files, and there's hello.html, and I can open that back up again. So that is the simplest possible web page. Let's add a little bit more to it and try some other things. We're going to add a couple of sections to the HTML tag, or to the HTML section. And the first one we're going to add there is head. And I'll close that. The head section is an area where you put in information that's about the web page, but not information to go into the web page. So most often the information that we have there is the title. And like any other element, most other elements, you need to close that off so that the browser knows that this is the start of the title and this is the end of the title, and the title is everything that is in between. So let's save that. You can go File, Save, or you can just use the keyboard shortcut Control S, which is what I usually do. And we'll go over to the web browser. Since that's the one that we already have loaded up, all I have to do is refresh. Apparently there's no difference, but actually you can see right here, it says this is my first web page. We now have a title for the page. It doesn't show up on the web page, but it's information that the browser uses to know something about the web page. In this case, it's the title. There's other information that you can put in the head, but that's kind of beyond what we're going to do with for this introduction. So that's the head. And now let's put some information in here. Hello world. This is my first web page. Now that I can code HTML, when do I get rich? Oh, if only it were that easy. And this is the head section right here where the title is. I should have mentioned right here, this is the body. So right here is the body, and that's the end of the body. So the body begins here and it ends here. Everything in between is the body. The head begins here and ends here. Everything in between is part of the head. And the title begins here and ends here. All this stuff is all part of the title. And the title has to fit entirely within the head element. So let's save that and reload. Oh, did I save that? There we go. Interestingly enough, I had this on two different lines, but when the web browser puts it on the screen, when it renders that, it's all on one line. How do we fix that? Well, we need to do a little bit of text formatting, but that will be the next video. Takeaways from here is that you need a text editor like Notepad in order to create a web page. Go get out there, grab Notepad or a text editor, file up a web browser, and start creating.